running for U.S. House District 27, that includes Calhoun County. It's 17 counties from Matagorda and Nueces, all the way up to Brenham, which is in Washington County, and then over to Travis, where Austin is, and Hayes County, and then kind of back down into C-shape. I am a public school teacher. I've been teaching for 19 years in Lockhart ISD. I'm currently teaching kindergarten. I'm not sure it's my grade level, but we're gonna finish the year. And I haven't taught kindergarten since I'm a student teaching. So this is kind of different than it was 19 years ago. But I decided to run for this seat in the 24 cycle because Michael Codd was not gonna have a Democrat running against him on the ballot. It was gonna be an automatic, you win this seat if somebody didn't run. And I thought it might as well be me, if, you know, somebody's gotta do it, right? So I filed the next to the last day to file, which was December 10th. And then December 11th, a young man also decided to file. So I ended up having a primary, which was fine. But I did win the primary. I went to the general election and lost. But I did get almost 100,000 votes the first time around. And I was pretty proud of that, being not at all a politician, not knowing what I was doing running for office, but knowing that it was important that I did it. And I did it because my beautiful daughter, I always talk about her, but our current congressman is 100% pro-life, no exceptions. And as much as I love her, she tried to kill me 24 years ago. I had something called HELP syndrome when I was pregnant, and that stands for hypertension, elevated liver enzymes, and low platelets. It's actually caused by the pregnancy, and the only thing that cures it is not being pregnant. So when I was 30 weeks along, I was in the hospital. My blood pressure was 215 over 185, and my blood platelets were 176,000. That was on Friday afternoon. On Monday morning, my blood platelets were 103,000. And my doctor came in and said, we're gonna have a baby today. And I said, it's October 22nd, my due date's December 25th. It's too soon, he says, well, your blood platelets are 103,000, your blood doesn't clot below 100,000. So we're having a baby today. And I said, you're the doctor, here we are. So she was a 3 pound, 6 ounce baby, stayed in the NICU for about 6 weeks before we brought her home. All of that being said, I was lucky because I was 30 weeks along and she was a healthy 3 pound, 6 ounce baby. But sitting on my couch, looking at this post that the Caldwell County Democratic Party had made that says Michael Codd was gonna run unopposed, I thought to myself, where would I be right now in Texas if I was 15 weeks pregnant with blood platelets at 103,000? What would happen to me? Would I have to fly to New Mexico to save my life and have an abortion? Would I take my chances with a doctor in Texas to see if they would actually take care of me? Where would I be? And so that was what really motivated me to say I'm gonna run for this seat. Because I was a mad mom, right? We wanna take care of our kids, we wanna take care of people around us. But also teaching school every day, I see families that are struggling. I work in a Title I school district, means we get extra funds from the federal government because most of our kids qualify for free and reduced lunch. Our district has made the decision that all of our kids get free lunch and free breakfast. So we don't have any outstanding balances or anything like that, but not every district does that. I see families struggling to keep food on the table. We have a backpack program also where we have kids that take food home on the weekends. But it's really sad that our community is having to pick up that slack where our government should be stepping in. Because I know that we've already paid those taxes in the federal government and they are offered back to us through Governor Abbott, and he turns that money down in the summertime, so we don't have those funds to feed the kids in the summertime. And he just flat turns that money down and says we don't need it. We don't need to feed our kids in Texas in the summer. So there's a lot of reasons why I want to go to Congress. One of them is to take care of women and girls and our health care. One is to take care of our children in our schools. Public education is very, very important to me, being a teacher. I see families, because I'm in education, I see families struggling with daycare. They can't afford daycare, so mom's not working. So now they're on some type of assistance because she can't afford to work, because she has to stay home and take care of the kids, because she was paying daycare, that she, you know, it's like daycare in Caldwell County is anywhere between $800 and $1,100 a month for one kid. In Nueces County, it's anywhere from $1,100 to $1,500 a month for one kid. That's more money than most families can afford. So, all of that being said, I want to push for universal health care. Health care from the day you're born until the day you die. You shouldn't have to worry about, is my kid gonna get sick? Am I gonna get sick? Am I gonna go bankrupt because I have medical bills? You shouldn't have to worry about, can I change jobs to get a better job? Do they have insurance? Do they not have insurance? Is it as good as what I have now? If we just had insurance, that would make everybody's life a lot easier. And it can be done. We do have the money. We are one of the wealthiest countries in the world. It can be done if we prioritize how we use our taxes in this country and who we tax and how much we tax them. It's something that we can definitely do. I also want to push for universal health, universal daycare or pre-K. The first day of kindergarten this year, I had, I think 12 kids the first day of school, which was like, what, only 12? But that's a whole other story. I knew immediately, day one, who went to pre-K and who did not. Because the ones that I said, oh, just go put your things in your cubby, it's got your name on it, it's right over there. Because me, first grade teacher, going to kindergarten thought they could read, because I didn't know, right? They didn't know their name. But the ones that went to pre-K knew their name. They could go find their cubby, put their things away, and the ones that didn't go to pre-K were like, I don't know how to read my name. I don't know how to count to 10. I don't know how to do those things. And it was very eye-opening for me going from first grade to kinder to see that disparity between kids that went to pre-K and those that didn't. And I want to make sure that all of our kids across the board have that ability to come in to kindergarten on an equal footing. Because it's really hard to sit down with parents and have that conversation. Your kid's behind. And they're 5. And they're already behind academically. And because I've had to have those hard conversations with parents, I think that is a strong suit for me to be able to go into Congress and have hard conversations. Because they're not all going to be easy, and not everybody's going to agree with me. But we all have to be able to go in there level-headed with facts and be able to have hard conversations. So again, my name is Tanya Lloyd, and I'm running for Congress here in District 27. I've got fun stuff over there, my treasure boxes over there, my buttons and stickers and stuff, and I'm gonna introduce Holly. So, thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Holly Taylor, and I'm running for the most important Texas court that most Texans have never heard of, and that's our Court of Criminal Appeals. Most folks don't know that Texas has 2 Supreme Courts. In fact, it's one of only 2 states in the country that have 2 Supreme Courts. The Texas Supreme Court only handles civil appeals, things like lawsuits. The Court of Criminal Appeals, the court I am running for, is the top court for criminal appeals in Texas, which means on a regular basis, they're making important decisions on core constitutional principles like our First Amendment right to free speech, due process of law, and digital privacy. Things like who can track us with those devices we have in our pockets. These kind of decisions. And they set precedent with their orders, rules, and decisions that apply to all courts across the state, which means all the other courts in Texas have to follow their rulings. So it's a super important court. I am a criminal law practitioner with over 25 years of experience. Over 17 years I spent as a prosecutor, though I'm a criminal defense attorney now. I have taken on government corruption. I have taken on civil rights violations. And mostly, I have prosecuted violent crime to keep my community safe. Murderers, rapists, and child abusers. And I feel good about that work. But over the last 5 years, I have also been working with the Conviction Integrity Unit in Travis County, where I live. And that is the agency that investigates wrongful conviction claims. So they do things like DNA testing, scientific review, they interview witnesses who testified at trial, and we find those witnesses who were never called to testify at trial. The point of it is to dig down and ensure that our convictions have integrity. And coming into that work, as a person who had been a prosecutor in that county for many years, I have to tell you, I assumed we would not have any wrongful convictions because we were fighting to ensure that justice was done in our county. But I was wrong. In fact, through that work, we found that we did have wrongful convictions. And what hit me hard personally is that I found that some of the cases in which I had fought hard to put somebody behind bars and to keep them there, I discovered that person was innocent. And then I set to fighting for justice for those people. And I'm happy to say that now 4 of them have been fully exonerated as of a few days ago. We had a big exoneration hearing in Austin. I was telling some folks here about that case, which is the yogurt shop murders in Austin. There was an HBO series about this case. That case, those murders were actually not committed by the people who were originally charged with the crimes. We found through the investigative process in that case, our local police partnered with the Attorney General's office, and they discovered that a serial killer from Florida actually committed those crimes. And the young men who were originally charged with it lived under a cloud for years in our county because they were originally prosecuted for this crime. And that kind of experience is common. And one of the things that I have discovered through this work is that whenever, or in many cases, when you have put the wrong person away for a crime, the person who actually committed that crime walks free. And they are able to harm others in our communities. So it's a double injustice. It's an unspeakable injustice to put someone in prison for a crime that they did not commit, but it doubles that injustice because the person who actually committed the crime, that dangerous individual, walks free to commit more crime. And that is why I decided to run for the Court of Criminal Appeals. It sits at the top of the criminal justice system, and in addition to deciding cases in criminal law situations, including these actual innocence claims, they also make rules and they allocate funds for training in the criminal justice system. So this court is critical to ensuring that justice is done and ensuring that our courts work for all of us here in Texas, and that the judges are standing up for the rule of law and the Constitution and treating everyone that comes before the courts with dignity and humanity. And I feel so strongly about this, that in our campaign, we are not just sitting on the ballot. I don't have a primary opponent, but we are traveling to every county in Texas, all 254 counties, to talk with Texans in their communities and to listen to them with their thoughts about the criminal justice system. That's how passionate I am about this race. So my name again is Holly Taylor. I'm running for the Court of Criminal Appeals. And one of the things that I mentioned earlier is that I live in Austin. I'm originally from the Houston area, but here in Port Lavaca, my uncle was the priest at the local Episcopal church for many years. And so I would come here in the summers, and I really have fond memories of Port Lavaca in my own personal history. So I love this town. Anyway, my name is Holly Taylor. I'm running for the Court of Criminal Appeals, statewide. Any questions?
We're ready to speak too.
Yeah,
We
I'm
didn't know that,
expecting
did you?
that,
Put you on the spot.
yeah, okay. This is my second speech that I'm gonna give. So, my name is Mark Gonzalez. I'm running for County Commissioner Precinct 1, Democratic. Born and raised here in Texas, graduated Calhoun, Sandcraft football player, varsity, graduated Victoria College, and then I went off to Bryan. I went to go to school there. I had 2 roommates who were also Sandcraft players with me, and had a lot of fun, had a little too much fun, and I got a call. My parents called me, wanted to know how my studies were going, and I said, well, not as good as they should be. And they told me that Union Carbide was hiring, and I said, no, I don't want to work for Union Carbide. I said, that's not my thing. Well, this was back when the rotary dial phones were still around. You probably won't remember that, but anyways, the rest of us remember that. And I didn't realize my dad was listening on the other end of that phone. And when I said that, well, he was a supervisor, shift supervisor out there at Carbide. Actually, one of the first actually the first Hispanic, shift supervisor out there at Union Carbide. Anyways, he proceeded to tell me, well, what makes you think Union Carbide wants you? What do you have to offer them? And he was right. I was a dumb college kid. I had nothing to offer them. But anyways, my mother asked what I was gonna do for spring break, and of course I said, well, I'm gonna go to Mustang Island and have a good time. Well, she said, well, they're having a test at the Bauer Center for Union Carbide. Why don't you take it when you come in? I said, okay, it couldn't hurt. So I did that, went off to spring break, had a lot of fun, went back to school. My mother called me and said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm studying for a trig exam. I have a semifinal I've got to take. She said, well, guess what? Union Carbide called, and they want to hire you. They want you for a second interview. And I was like, wow, okay. And the whole thing was, my parents were trying to get me motivated to show me how hard it was to get a job. And well, I guess I showed them. Anyways, I took the job and I retired a couple years ago after almost 34 years of being a chemical process operator. I worked for Union Carbide and then Dow Chemical Law South. Worked for them for a couple of years, and then they retired me at 38, too young. So I went across the causeway over here to Formosa, which we can see out the window, and I worked for them for 20 years before I retired. And I was enjoying retirement when people in the beach area asked, the late David Hall had passed, so they asked if I'd be interested in running for his position, and I said, I'm not a political person, I don't think so. And they said, you'd be great at it. So, we were playing cards, and I'm a card player, and the guys said they were gonna put my name in. Well, being card players, I thought they were full of it, so I didn't think nothing of it, and I was headed to Dallas to go visit one of my sons, and I got a phone call from, the Judge Lissey's office that, asked me, is this Mark Gonzalez? I said, yes, this is Mark Gonzalez. They said, well, this is so-and-so with County Judge Lissey's office, and I immediately panicked, and I said, ma'am, I don't have any warrants or anything. I don't have any tickets, I'm good. And she started laughing, she said, no. She goes, we're calling you in to come to the office. I said, again, ma'am, I think I'm good. You may have the wrong Mark Gonzalez. She goes, well, didn't you put in for county commissioner? And I said, no. And she said, you sure? And I said, because we have you, we'd like to interview you on Friday for the position. They're gonna make an appointment and we have your name down to interview you. And I said, oh man. She goes, what? I said, my buddy said they were gonna put me in, but I thought they were playing. Anyways, that's how I got in this. And I didn't get it, of course I didn't get appointed, but they told me I ranked very high, and the same people told me, well, you gotta run. So, this is what I'm doing now, I am trying it. And the reason, of course I live in precinct 1, but the reason that means so much to me is because I remember when I was a kid, and again, you probably don't remember this, but getting in the old station wagon with the parents and going down the beach, and just, spending the weekends there all day and everything. And now to see how much erosion has happened down there. Now, Calhoun County, we have so much industry here. The plants are all here. Of course, everybody lives in Victoria County, nicer houses, restaurants, everything, but the industry is here. The other greatest resource we have is, of course, what I'm looking at out the window, the water, the beaches, the shoreline. And we don't have much of that anymore. So that's passionate for me. I want to see that restored. I want to see us get our beaches back and our coastline. So, and that's what Precinct 1 is about. It has areas in town which of course needs attention too, but our beaches have gone far too long without anybody doing anything. And so that would be my main goal. I would really like to see that. And of course, carry on the other projects that the late Commissioner Hall was doing. He was doing excellent work, everybody's always told me. So that's what, if I'm elected, that's what I would like to do, is continue his work and plus do a whole lot more to try to get our resources back, our coastlines, our beaches, all that. And that's about it. That's how I studied this. Any questions?
And that's the only free public beach along the coast of Texas.
Jack? Come on.
Come on, Jack.
Well, I'm not in the primary, but I am running for office.
You're not up for it.
Yes. Oh, he is? Yeah. We have the city elections coming up, on May 2nd. Early voting will start, April 20th to 28th. I have an opponent this year, and so I'm urging everyone after the primaries are over to get geared up to get out and vote in the city elections. It's hard to do. I appreciate everyone that does get out and vote. You have to go this second time. And so I may be pressuring you a lot, but I'm gonna try to get everybody, geared up and out to vote. Our turnout in the past has been kind of low in city elections, but this year I think we're gonna do well. I've done a lot for the city over the last several years. We've really improved our pay front. We, do enormous work with grants. We, are up to $20 to $30 million adding to our budget just with grants, and I wanna continue that. We have about a $10 million budget, but we work with about $40 million with the city because of all the extra work we do and all the help we get from federal grants and different Matagorda Bay Trust, remediation grants, and a whole lot of work. Parks and Wildlife has helped us with our parks. So we're gonna continue with that. And right now, we're working on, our new, industry coming into the county over the next, 5 to 10 years. We have the nuclear power coming into Dow. We have, Exxon building a plant, across the causeway. And so I'm working with TxDOT right now to start the planning for a new causeway, a bigger causeway that will replace this one, which, it takes about 10 to 15 years to get those things rolling. And so now's the time to get it on the books and get it going. It'll be 5 to 10 years before Exxon can get their plant finished. By that time, we will, most assuredly need a new causeway here. And so I will be, working with, TxDOT and with the legislature to make sure that we get the proper funding. Okay, any questions about the city race?
Who's your opponent?
Louis De La Garza, he's on the Port Authority.
I have one question. You said ExxonMobil they are coming in, because I heard they were not anymore. Is that?
No, they bought the land.
They bought the land.
They just postponed they were moving pretty fast, and they decided to slow down because of the market right now. The plastics market is not real good right now.
Right.
And, so they figured they could, if they held back for one more year, it would probably help their cause, because that's a $10 billion investment that they're planning on putting in. And probably by that time, Alcoa will be through with their remediation, and we can have a new plant into that site. So we're gonna need that new causeway in about 10 years. So. All right, thank you very much.